Alright guys, welcome to the channel. So, let me just share some of this stuff here and we'll get going. I know I'm fairly new, so I have a little bit of time. But I want to talk about this particular incident that we had discovered today, because this could be very, very, very serious. And I don't know what, if anything, we're going to be able to do about it. I'm not saying that, you know, we're going to lose or anything else of that nature, but, I mean, what are we going to do here? You know, this could be a potential of a big war. And a lot of people who were against the strike, you know, they're going to say, well, he shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. And then the people, if he hadn't have done anything, they would have said, oh, well, why didn't he react? I mean, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, this whole relationship with Iran goes way back to many presidents ago. And, I mean, even back in 1979 with the arms deal, and they had purchased jets from us and we didn't deliver. A lot of things, honestly, are just they're really going to become a problem. And people don't seem to realize, they say, oh, we got them, we can wipe them off the map. Hey, Lisa, how are you? There's a lot of things that we just can't do. It's, you know, you ever hear of the Geneva Conventions? Or convention, I should say. It's you know, we can't just go over there and wipe them off the map. Well, they did it to us, you know, 9/11. Well, yeah, they may have. Well, they didn't exactly. It was Afghanistan, but you know, you can't just go over there and wipe them off the map. There's rules to war, you know, especially with the Constitution. You can't just say, load up and go. You know, we're not the biggest nation anymore. There are a lot of powerful nations, and a lot of powerful nations that are allies with Iran. But guys, all it takes is a biological weapons attack. All it takes is a bold move like that to wipe out a lot of people here. You know, Trump did what he felt that he had to do, and I will always support my president. And I'm not going to say whether I do or I don't like him, because that's neither here nor there. The Democrats are in uproar. They are having a fit. Congress, it's just, I mean, you're at a no-win situation here. He killed so many American people. He killed so many other people from different nations. The general even was planning more attacks. And so, like Trump said, I did this to stop a war. I didn't do this to create one. I don't know. To me, I guess if you're coming in and you're bombing a country that you really have no business to be with, you know, in any way. Thank you. Hey, Rideshare Rookie, how are you? Just a second here. You know, I don't know. I mean, am I fearful that something bad could happen to us? Maybe. You have to remember, first of all, I don't believe Iran is participating with the Geneva Convention, and I may sound like a moron here, but it's been a long day and I'm in a lot of pain. It's just that they're ruthless people. They are very ruthless people, and they will go to extremes to get their way. And they even said in the funeral, if you didn't see my last video, they even said we're going to offer $80 million cash to the person who brings us the head of Donald Trump, or as they put it, that yellow-haired lunatic. They're calling him a terrorist in a suit. They're creating a problem. Is there a chance that they are just making a scene? By all means. I didn't hide your comment, honey. I don't see no hidden comments. I made you a moderator. This shouldn't happen again. Hey, Soldier of God, how are you? So, I don't know. I mean, my conspiracy mind is saying everybody needs to watch out. Everybody needs to get prepared. I don't know, sweetheart. It may have filtered it out for some reason, but you're a mod now, so retype your comment and see if it comes through. Otherwise, I think I know what I can do to fix it. If you didn't see my last video, they have, and also I have been also watching other news where they have said that they're going to hit 35 U.S. targets. Oh, okay, there it is. I wouldn't say he's treating it like a dictatorship. See, Lisa, there's a lot of executive orders and a lot of power that he does have that a lot of presidents have not used in the past. I mean, we are basically a rollover nation. I mean, we're going to go over there and do what we got to do when we need to do it, but only as a last resort. Is it safe in where? Romania? I don't know. I mean, I think Trump is a no-nonsense president, and I think he wants to make sure that America comes first. And we've been for years, we have been, giving in to other people and giving money and helping other people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just saw a thing today about the minimum wage in California, and businesses are closing. We have a lot of issues that we need to work on here at home. And we also have a lot of worldwide issues and a lot of issues that we need to intervene with, like China's plan to take over the entire Pacific nation of Asia, which will, damage the world. I mean, it's not, I guess people could say, well, we're trying to rule the world and we're trying to do all this. I mean, I guess you could look at it like that, but I guess you could also look at it like we're trying to save a disaster. And we have the means and the resources to do that. But I've always been one of those people that has said, mind your own business. There's times where we just don't believe, or we need to be over there, So, I don't know. I'm taking the threat seriously. You should. I don't know how the government's responding. I'm sure by now they're well aware. They were probably well aware before the media put that up there. And just like the Parkland person who did that stuff in Parkland, I'm trying to watch my words here, the FBI was aware of that and chose to do nothing about it. I think they will in time, Rideshare Rookie, but I think that they're just like, if Trump is telling the truth, I think they're holding that back. Let's put it that way. I think they're holding back just like they did with the war on terrorism. I think they're holding back to see if they need to get involved. I think, and remember when it was us going over there for 9/11, they had a lot of threats from Al-Qaeda saying if you get involved and you help the United States, we're going to mess you up too. In paraphrasing. But there's a lot of topic going on right now about the entire Iran thing, and World War III is now a big trigger. Big trigger word, big trigger topic. And I'm not going to say that it's not possible. Yeah, I mean, Lisa, I think also that there's more to the story of 9/11, and I have a podcast on my channel with my friend Geta who might explain it a little bit more in depth. But there's more to the story about 9/11 than the media and the government have led on to believe. And my thought on that is simply because Number one, there's video analysis of the planes and hitting the tower and how things were portrayed to us as a population were not really that possible. You know, such as a plane going into the tower and no evidence of debris coming out of it. I mean, it's CGI. Planes that do hit the tower, because they were built to withstand the impact of a 707, wouldn't, by design, architects have said by design that those buildings would not have come down. They also heard reports, there were reports of people hearing explosions on a lower level, like a demolition type, and they came down pretty evenly. I want to see if I can bring something up here. I know I found that earlier. Okay, this is a good source. Let me turn this on. Let me check the comments first. So we have a new source here. Let me get my phone up so I can comment, or go with the comments. Okay, let me put this phone like so. There is one thing I do want to do. Okay, let me get over here, make this bigger, and we'll review this together. All right. Also, there should be a PayPal link in the description below if you guys feel the need to support the channel. It's not required, but I would like you to like, comment, and subscribe, of course, as it keeps the channel going, and YouTube does promote the video. The more engagement we have, the more YouTube is going to promote the video. Hey, Alex, how are you, man? All right, so Iran identifies 35 U.S. targets in the Soleimani, whatever his name is, revenge plot, okay? Now, there is word, not much, Alex, there is word that they're not going to release these targets until after the official day of mourning, which they are ahead of us, and it does end tomorrow. At what time, I'm not sure. But they have identified 35 U.S. targets that could be hit. Notice it says could be. Let me make sure this gets a little bigger. I don't know if y'all can see that. Okay, where are we at? That could be hit with retaliatory strikes after the country's president chillingly vowed to exact revenge for the killing of its top general, 35 targets. Does this sound like it might have been pre-planned? I mean, honestly. He offered a few specifics as he rattled his saber, naming only American warships in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz and the Israeli city of Tel Aviv as potential targets. This regime could also potentially attack U.S. troops in Syria, Iraq, Bahrain, and elsewhere in the region, along with U.S. embassies or other targets. Excuse me, cyber attacks are another possibility, an administration official told Time. Really? Are they saying anything else about attacking American soil? No, of course not. Why would they say that? Is it a possibility? Yes, they have sleeper cells here, guys. I think that would be a pretty dumb move to do, but I wouldn't put it past them. But here's why they're picking this. They're picking this because this is where most of the oil, if not all of it, from over there goes through and exits out that strait to be distributed amongst the rest of the planet. We are over there doing our thing and pretty much guarding that oil, although you're going to get a different story, okay? But it's a vital point for the West, and a large number of American destroyers and warships cross there. Some 35 U.S. targets in the region, as well as Tel Aviv, are within our reach, he said, according to Reuters. Reuters is a very credible source. A State Department official said any retaliation would just be a continuance of the ongoing attacks Salami, I can't say his name, I was earlier, was orchestrating for years in the region, we'll just call him the idiot, and stressed that the targeted killing of the leader derailed an imminent major attack that is not likely to happen. Well, I don't know about that. You know, I've known a few people from that region, and a lot of them are quick-tempered. I think what we just did was stir the hornet's nest. I think what we just did is really create a problem. I'm really hoping that we did not. But sometimes, I'm sure you all have friends, neighbors, and acquaintances that stick their nose in your business or somebody else's business. It doesn't belong there. That's our nature. Okay, what I could say from my experience with Soleimani is it is less likely that we will see this now than it was before, and if we do see an increase in violence, it will probably not be as devilishly ingenious. And of course now they want to kick us out. I mean, I don't blame them. Iraqi parliament calls for U.S. troops to be kicked out after the Soleimani killing. They're very upset. What's up, Donnie? How are you, man? But they want us out, and for many reasons, I'm sure. I mean, they don't want us over there because they want to be able to do their agenda. They want to be able to take on what they want to take on, and they don't want us there. Romania is with the United States. Okay. The government commits to revoke its request for assistance from the International Coalition Fighting Islamic State due to the end of military operations in Iraq and the achievement of victory, the non-binding resolution read. Guys, the Iraqi government must work to end the presence of any foreign troops on Iraqi soil and prohibit them from using its land, airspace, or water for any reason. It continued. There's also a rumor that Iran will employ or contract with, I'm using the wrong words, but you get what I'm saying, other nations to do their dirty work. So it's not beyond their realm. It's not beyond their reach, guys. It really isn't. He called the death of Soleimani at the hands of the U.S. military a political assassination. A lot of people are calling it a war crime because if you do something like this without reason, it's a war crime. The U.S. has about 5,000 troops in Iraq at the invitation of the Iraqi government. And that's the end of that story. All right, Donnie. So there's a lot to be thinking about. There's a lot to worry that we may have a problem. It may be nothing come of this. We may have just a lot of fear. They've made threats before, but now we have taken out one of their own, like just out of the blue. I mean, with Bin Laden, they kind of expected at some point we would find him, and I'm not even so sure he's dead, because they have a lot of lookalikes that walk around and play these types of leaders to, basically make them patsies and targets. All I can say is you really need to watch the news. You really need to stay on top of it. You really need to like, comment, and subscribe in this channel, because I'm going to find it. And, there's this, it's a lot that we need to talk about. And the most important thing is, we need to band together. We need to stop this crap of the differences between us, as we are a society, a community. We need to band together, because if the day comes where, they come over here and they do something, we can't be, this leftist, crybaby shit, and we can't be saying, I hate Trump or I love Trump, and we all have to be together, or we're done. We're done. Daniel says, out with Iran. Well, I agree, but, here's the other thing. Again, there's a lot of nations that support Iran. If we go over there and we do stuff, number one, it's a crime if we kill innocent people. I mean, if people get hurt in the action of war, okay, but if we just deliberately go over there like they allegedly did with 9/11 and start bombing and attacking and killing innocent people, we are up a river. That's why it's important to understand the Geneva Convention. You can't just go over there and do that. Just like you can't go to your neighbor and egg their house or stuff a towel in their tailpipe because they make a lot of noise. You could, but there's a problem with that if you're caught. We've tried the peace talks. Trump has stopped or stalled attacks long before this. You got to look beyond the fake news. You got to look beyond what the media is trying to say Trump is or is not. And you got to really understand that, he's likely for our country. But, another thing that you guys really have to understand is, these politicians that come out here and they say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this if I'm elected. Yeah, I'm sure they have. The international banking cartel has literally spent billions on this Trump brand. It has always been, since for as long as I can remember, that one or two people in American government have to be the patsy for the bigger agenda. Okay? There's always an agenda. If you think the government's on your side, you're wrong. You're really wrong. They have a bigger agenda, and I keep telling everybody to go and read Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, and read between the lines. George Bush, even himself, the senior, stated, let me see if I can find it, that this one world government or this one world order will happen. And that was in 1992-ish, 1993. Let's see, one world order. George Bush Sr. I don't know that you'll be able to hear this. Let me try this. Here we go. I believe this is it. Okay, let me see. Do I have an output? I do. All right, so let me see if I can play this. Who do I think will win? I don't think anybody will win. I think it'll be a mass genocide. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and play this. Let me know if you can hear it.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle,
can you hear it?
Governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
All right, that's good enough for now. Okay. So, and you know he authored Agenda 21. He helped author Agenda 21. He helped put together their plan for prosperity, peace, population control, a one world order. It's all there in that document. It really is. When I tell you it's there, it's there. And so who's to say that this strike that killed the Iranian leader is not a part of a plan to try to reduce the population and get a one world order? There's even biblical scriptures about it, about the wars and rumors of wars and all kinds of stuff. And I'm not a religious person, but I did reach out to a friend of mine who is, and I have 3 scriptures. You know, again, if that's your thing, you know, that you believe in the Bible and you believe everything in it, then, you know, this may not be the event, this may not be, but it's coming, right? It may, you know, I got a lot of mixed thoughts. I really do. About all of this. I got a lot of thoughts about what potentially could happen. There's just people out there you don't trifle with. And we, sadly, have not learned that lesson in a long time. You know, it's all about control. I mean, if you start looking at the Illuminati, you start looking at the Bilderberg Group, you start looking at the Freemasons, you start looking at the Rothschild family, you start looking at the Federal Reserve and how it was created and why it was created and how somewhat illegally it was created. You can hear it. Well, that's all I wanted to know, is to make sure that the sound was coming through. So, the fact that George Bush Sr., along with many other country leaders, sat down and wrote this agenda, one of 2, is scary. When you start looking at the things that are happening today, the things that have been happening, and things, you know. Listen, when Kennedy was assassinated, they came up with a story, and they went after anybody who had any type of evidence to disprove that story, and they silenced them. They picked up Patsy Oswald. But so many people heard different shots from different parts of the the compound there, including one that came from under the sewer drain on the road. The shot that was believed to kill Kennedy. The Zapruder films, testimonies, the Warren Commission and how that was altered. And now you can go, supposedly, to these archives that Trump had released all these documents because everyone's dead now. I find that funny that we did not have information to these documents until everybody involved was dead. There's only one reason you would do that, and that's because nobody wants to get prosecuted. So we start looking, okay, so we're going back to that very briefly. So when Kennedy was assassinated, we didn't have the internet available, so all they did was tell a story. We told a story on what happened. We got Oswald almost immediately. Come on and think about it. If you're going to even try to do something like that, you better have a plan to where you can get up out of there and not be seen. You'd be a fool just to walk into plain day and do it. Just like the person that made the assassination attempt on Reagan. Plain day, middle of the street, bam, bam. Patsy. But when you start looking into things, you start reading into things, you start piecing things two and two, things make more sense. And then well, I mean, you know, when one enemy gets rifled up, they all get rifled up. I mean, look at it like this, Steve-O. When you're mad at somebody and you have friends who don't like that person, don't your friends join you and support your efforts to get mad at that person? Of course they do. But when you want to defend somebody, this is pure psychology here, people won't help you. People don't like to defend somebody or help somebody when they're in the middle of a crowd. Psychology proves that if you're laying there on the street with a big open wound and there's a whole bunch of people around you, nobody's going to stop and help you. But if they're the only one else, they're going to stop and help you. You know, so, yeah, I mean, I would have to say yeah. And China being one of them, because we just pissed off China big time by raising the amount of money they have to pay to get stuff in here. I think a lot of Trump's ideas are radical. I think they're very extreme. I think they're bold. But I have to say that almost everything he said that he would do, he has done. But there's a good possibility that he's a patsy for a bigger agenda. Something that, you know, groups beyond our recognition or understanding even, you know, get together. You know, the Bilderberg Group is a huge huge group of nations and CEOs and people with money, and they all get together in a very secretive fashion, and they all get together and they talk about stuff. The agenda is on their website, but it's very vague. Like we're going to talk about Russia or Egypt or cybersecurity. That's a lot to talk about in a weekend. You know? Right, that's Lisa, that's exactly what it sounds like, that people were getting protected, and that's how the document is outlined as well. That this is for a betterment of humanity, but it has to be under a one world order. And I heard a video today about somebody who said the 1% of the world is going to try to take out the rest of the 99% of the world, and that's not possible. And I'd like to redirect your thoughts to Hitler. While he didn't control the entire world, he controlled a lot of people. He was that 1%er that took control over everybody. And he did that by telling lies, giving false hope, giving people a sense of security and improvement. Said, you don't need guns, give them to me, I'll take them, then loaded them up on the train. But there's still conspiracies about that too. You know, so fuck salami. Lib turds. Alright. Right. Our enemies know what our weaknesses are. We know what theirs are. We have intelligence. We're not a dumb nation. I think we have bowling balls for nuts when we really have walnuts. I mean, you know what I mean? Because we talk a lot of game. You know, they say fighting is 90% attitude, 10% action. You know? They know we have these weapons of mass destruction. Yet we run around the world telling everybody else they can't have any. The fuck's up with that? You know? The hell's up with that? But, hey, Dope Smoker, how are you? There's nothing that could stop these people if it's part of a bigger agenda. The Bible even speaks of problems in the Middle East all around through the entire book. Not just a couple of chapters or a couple of paragraphs. The entire book has problems and quotations about problems with the Middle East, past, present, and future. Again, not a religious person, but I'm adding that in to what I'm reading with Agenda 21 and 2030. Would they trust us, though? That's what I'm saying, Smigs. They don't trust us any more than we trust them. Have we lied about having weapons of mass destruction to other nations? Of course we have. We just hide them better. What do you think Area 51's for? When you start talking about, I'm not going to release these notes, or I'm not going to tell you what's going on in our discussion with the Bilderberg Group, and it's supposed to be a group to better humanity, yet everything's top secret. Yeah, see? So, I'm here to try to provide some truth and some insight in my opinions on subjects, whether it be current politics or conspiracy. On my other channel, Uberman Tampa, I do a lot of realism on rideshare and other app gigs and stuff, because I look at things differently, and I have, again, on this channel alone, I have podcasts from my friend Geta. I encourage you to go listen to them. They're just audio, so you can play it in the background and while you're doing the dishes and listen. Why trust 2,000-year-old terrorists? Right, but why trust us? We're no better. If you really want to start really digging into the 9/11 and everything else, right? Trump will be pissed that Iran only thinks he's worth $80 million. Yeah, well, they did it because it's $1 per citizen. That's all I was able to see. But you're right. That is welfare number to him. It's just we got to really think. We're not immune to prosecution from the rest of the world. We're not. Nothing is stopping them from coming over here. There's ways to get in. Think about it. If 9/11 actually happened the way they said it happened, then they got in. They got on board, they got guns through security, and they hijacked the planes, and they did what they did. What's up, E.S. Andre? How are you? Yeah, he is a legend. I'll give you that. So, you got to look at both ways. If 9/11 happened the way they said it did, then that means they got over here, they got through customs, they got guns through security, they got on board the plane, and they took control of the aircraft. Terrorist countries not allowed to have nukes. Well, need I bring up Benghazi? That was kind of terroristic that we didn't help our own troops, our own team, to get out of there. We just left them for dead. That was kind of terroristic. Right, a bounty means that somebody else is going to do the work. They know we're capable of destroying their existence. They also know that we probably won't. That's another thing to bring up. We probably won't. But you have to also figure their culture, too, is I'm going to give the order, and Hilterd, yeah, she sure is. I'm going to give the order. I'm going to let somebody else try to go do it so that they can take the patsy, they can take the blame if they're caught, or they can take the loss of life. Yeah, there are people out there. Maxine Waters is one of them. Right, we could kick up a major civil war. And that's another thing, too, if you want to think about it, all this dividing in our country about Trump, not Trump. If we ended up going to war with these people because we had to, what kind of nonsense would we get over here in the United States? Dre, since you're from the UK, I'm curious. How many people, just estimate, I don't need an exact number, but how many people, say 50-50 or 60-40, would you say support Trump versus not supporting Trump? No, Smigs, I could not trust them with that power. And with the pallets of cash that were sent during the Obama administration, because now a lot of people misled that story too. That story is basically they bought U.S. fighter jets from us back in the 70s. We didn't deliver. We froze their assets. We refused to return their money. They captured U.S. or American hostages, and we said, let them go. We'll give you your money back plus interest. They wanted $10 billion. We negotiated 1.7. 70% support. Oh, okay. I don't know if Queen Elizabeth has said anything about Trump. What are her opinions on Trump? That's another one too. No disrespect to the Queen, but she's in the Bilderberg group too. Oh, you're not telling me nothing new, dope smoker. I know that. I know that. They have publicly said that. Madonna said that she would do things to the White House and things like that. What about North Korea? Honestly, I haven't really looked into it. Last I heard that we were okay with them, but my guess is they're just as sneaky as the rest of the world. They're going to say, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we're good. Come on in. We'll be nice to each other." You turn your back and they're blowing you up. I don't trust none of them. I don't trust our own government half the time. I'm not going to trust them. Especially that fat fucking North Korea. No, sir. No. I don't trust him as far as I can roll him uphill. No, sir. Canada's worried too about their 49 citizens. Canada's the nice guy. You don't see a lot in the news about Canada, except for that loudmouth prime minister. I don't know. I think it'd go. Dennis Rodman loves dead raccoons. I'm sorry, I don't like Dennis Rodman. Never have. There's two ways this can go. Either this is just a mouthy threat, going to have everybody jumping in their pants for a little while, or they're gonna fucking do it. We'll know tomorrow. I mean, you guys, how many people did not see the article about the 35 targets Iran has planned? Although they never told us anything. I'll go ahead and show it one more time, just because there are some newcomers coming in. A lot of people say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist." I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to put it past people to do stuff that other people think, oh, it'll never happen. Here we go. Well, there's so many naive people in this country. Guys, you know that, right? So many naive people in this country that think, oh, nothing will ever happen to us because nothing has happened. As far as, I'm 20-some years old. I don't remember nothing happened. You got to remember, a lot of these people that bark off about Trump were not even born or very small when 9/11 happened. Okay? There's some people that don't even remember. That's it too, the grid. There's some people that don't even remember the America-Russia tension in the 80s. That if it wasn't for Reagan, things could have gone a whole lot differently. Back then, they had missiles to reach the United States within 30, 45 minutes of launching that could take out everything. All right? So let me just do this real quick, though, for the people that are new or coming in. You were 17? So Getting Along Alone says, I've been around since 1971. I'm 76 here. So I remember a little bit of it, but Chris remembers more because he's older. Anyway, I won't read this whole thing again, but this basically says they've identified 35 targets around the area and embassies and things like that, and basically they're going to announce it after the formal mourning period, goes through, and they're going to seek revenge. They even said that the day that they discovered he died, they said it's you're done. Well, deporting them isn't really going to help. There's ways in. A lot of the immigration people, they say, oh, they jumped the border, they jumped the wall. The majority of immigration that we have here, that immigrants here that are not supposed to be here, they're undocumented, they come in by boat or plane. Very few percentage actually are border hoppers, as people call them. Very few. Most of them come in by boat or plane, boat or plane. That tells you right there how easy it is to get in this bitch. I mean, honestly. And before 9/11, the fact that they've even brought weapons on board the aircraft tells you how easy it was to get through security. Then what happens is they vamp up security and they start strip searching people and making you, do a strip tease right there at the daggone gate, and everyone's bitching because it's offensive. Well, Metatron, when I was saying that, I was like, when we're taking out the percentage of, we take the whole population of illegal immigrants. How did you get here? How did you get here? How did you get here? Most of them will say by plane or by ship. Or they take Uber and Lyft. Okay, in these countries, the main powers butcher and kill their own civilians like their life is worthless. In the West, we have more compassion for life. Well, and we have a little bit more compassion for law, Well, we said the same thing about the whole war on terrorism, and we haven't destroyed them. There's a lot going on. Still is a lot going on. There's a lot of conspiracy on that. Right, Camper Bill, bioweapons. And they have enough sleeper cells here in the United States to pull that off and eradicate the population simply by dumping a vial in our water supply. You ain't gonna have to worry about them running nothing into nothing. Don't be surprised if some of these, like CDC labs and stuff that are working on major nasty viruses, don't have sleeper cells in them. And then, stopping the oil production or stopping the flow of oil here, which would cripple the nation. Without oil, we don't have planes. We don't have ships. We don't have cars. We don't have a lot of things without oil. If they take out our cell phone towers, not hard to do to disrupt that network, then we're all fucked. We're all looking around on our phones like, how come it won't work? I can't read a map. That's right. Ebola was designed by the United States government as a bioweapon, and it was tested in Africa. They have the cure for it. They have the antivenom for it, or the antivirus. They do. HIV, same thing. And I can tell you that because the DNA changes drastically every time it's passed from person to person. Viruses will change DNA to a certain degree, but HIV, it changes drastically. So, I mean, come on, it's simple truth. Well, you remember when Madonna said she was going to do something to the White House and nothing happened to her ass. Gates holds the patent on it. Okay, what was this? Remember when 9/11 troops were called? It was at my son's football game. I watched two people check their pager and immediately leave. Yep. They called me too. Iran fucked up. It sure did. You know, it's you got just all I'm saying is we have to be careful. We have to not be so arrogant like we have notoriously been known to be. We cannot be arrogant. We have got to be watchful. I agree with you there. I totally agree with you there. I would not be anywhere near there. There's two theories to attacking. Either doing it right under your nose, because you're not expecting it. I mean, if you want to get away with robbing a bank or something, you do it in broad daylight, around a whole bunch of people, because ain't nobody going to see you, because they're all in the phone. Or, you do something that we don't expect. So, going after the Super Bowl crowd wouldn't really benefit them any, because it's a very small percentage of the population. You know, you need to get millions, not just a few 100,000. You need to get millions to make an impact. People rushing to the hospital because they have this unidentified disease and they're puking and shitting and bleeding out of every hole in their body, and they're losing weight and things like that, and nobody knows what's going on, and all of a sudden there's a mass panic. If you do it right, you could probably set off the super volcano in Yellowstone. That would take care of everybody in the world right there. Some nuclear bombs going off, things like that, jolt the system down there, and if that thing blows, which it's due to blow, human existence as we know it will be gone. But like I said, just for the record, for the CIA, Secret Service, and anybody else who may be watching this, we are not plotting shit. We're talking about it, and that's our First Amendment right. Yeah. Yeah. That's another point there, getting a long loan. Nukes stop wars to a certain degree, but, it just depends, And again, Metatron, if we go over there and do that, like you're saying, we are violating Geneva Convention. We're committing a war crime. And I'm still doing research, but there's rumor to be had, although he's long dead now, but there's rumor to be had that Hitler never died. He went off to South America somewhere. Yeah, don't open them. Do not open them. So, I don't know. The sad part is the majority of the world relies on their government for truth and information. And it half the time it's not truthful. It's not. Or it's lies, or it's, false things. Trump had done a thing about fake news, and Kennedy even said, this was long before the whole Trump thing, he warned against the media publicizing things without regard to security. Let's see. Proper degree of privacy the press should afford the president. Yeah. Right, they're being brainwashed. Do I know Jesus Christ? Not personally. They're being brainwashed. And again, when you're in a dictatorship like that, it's not hard to come out there and, And then, the people are going to believe it, or they're going to comply because they fear of consequence. Or they think that if they help or support, good things will come for them. That's what happened with the Hitler regime. People were either against or feared or they supported. If you didn't support Hitler, you were wiped out. Again, how the story goes. There are theories on how that actually happened as well. There are theories that the United States was a little bit more involved than they let on to believe. Okay? There's theories that these camps did not exist in the way that they had portrayed them in books. It's real easy when a generation dies off or you eliminate witnesses to make up a story. It's real easy to do that. If you go to school, I'll give you a prime example. You go to school in Seattle. The history books are going to say one thing about slavery versus if you go to school in the South, it's going to say a whole other thing. Yeah, that's what I heard too. And it's all about perception. It's all about that leader telling a lie enough times that he begins to believe it and everyone else will too. I think you're not far off there getting along alone. I think that there are a lot of countries that don't like America. I know that for a fact. With the majority of them being in Asia and the Middle East and Africa. They absolutely think that we're too big for our britches. They think that we are doing way too much, and our involvement in the world affairs is way too much. And a lot of people don't like Americans. You go to Europe, they'll give you they just don't like them. And right, as Smig says, most of them don't know any different. Just like it was not unplausible back in the civil rights movement when white people never saw a black person. Never, ever saw one. And when they finally did, they didn't know. They didn't know anything about what had happened or anything like that. Things are taught way differently. Or when they had walked up to a segregated restroom or things like that. That happened right here in this country. Right? That's a good thing, Marco, right there in pork. Right, Camper Bill, but if we do that to Iran, who else are we going to piss off? What happens if we piss off North Korea or we piss off China? The United States will not kill civilians intentionally. I mean, they won't. They will not kill them intentionally. Start to re-educate long-term plan. I have to say, that's true. They are allied to Iran. And both China and Russia are now selling off their reserves and turning it into gold. They're getting out of the World Bank system. I agree, Aaron. That's right. You guys know about the Bay of Pigs, the Cuban Missile Crisis? How close we came to getting fucked right up the panuni with no Vaseline? The movie 13 Days explains a lot of it pretty accurately. No, I'm just saying if we go ahead and continue to believe that we're unstoppable and they're not going to touch us, then we're going to get a rude awakening. 13 days. Yeah, we do need our allies. And one thing about my live streams and my channel, you're going to find out very quickly. I respond to comments, I do likes and hearts, and I do try to communicate in the live stream. I'm not like a lot of lives where, you know, of course I'm not that big, but on my other channel I have 1,200 and some subs, and I usually get about the same amount of people watching my live when I do live there, and I try to comment on everybody's comment. You know. Aaron, maybe, maybe not. I mean, you know, I think a lot of people do understand why we did it, but I mean, because he was a bad man. I'm not going to say that, but it's kind of like playing judge, jury, and executioner at the same time. You know, maybe we should have arrested him and brought him to trial, you know, like they did with Saddam Hussein. Maybe. Of course, we all knew what direction that was going, too. There was no hope for Hussein of ever getting found not guilty. You know, but yeah, in the way in which it was done. I mean, you know, and you're allowed to disagree with or agree with the strike. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this channel, is to have an adult-like opinion. When you come here and start throwing names and calling people assholes and idiots, well, that'll get you thrown out because that's not necessary. But we can come into this channel, we can have adult-like conversations, and you can give your opinion, and you will be respected. You know, that we're not going to tolerate that childish crap because I deal with that enough as it is, and I'm sure you do too on a daily basis. Thank you, Dre. He was a very bad man, and he needed to be stopped, but maybe it was done in the wrong way. I don't know. Israel has always had nuclear weapons. They just are doing a really good job at hiding it or keeping it under somebody else's porch, if you know what I mean. I would not be... Israel is a big problem. Hussein kept peace one way or another. Killing him fucked it up. I would have to give you a partial credit on that one because, you know, again, we talked... Hussein was not a very nice man, and he was certainly not a daggone Nobel Peace Prize winner by any means. But I don't think he was nearly as bad as this dickhead we just killed. Oh, well, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, Cuban Missile Crisis. I'm an old-timer, was living in Germany at the time. The entire Western Europe went to blackout that night. Yeah, I bet they did. He was a very bad man, but U.S. wanted above the law to make an assassination, especially on someone that was helping Iraq that defeated ISIS. Okay, I'll give you that. My opinion, bin Laden got what he deserved. I agree. Saddam kept the other madmen in check. I'll give you that, Smigs. You have to plow snow? Okay, well, I'm about to terminate this live anyway. It's my first live to welcome everybody to my channel, but I do need to eat something, and I have to go to the bathroom, and I have to let the dogs out. But keep the bell notification on because I do go live randomly. If it wasn't for Soleimani not bringing in Russia and such, ISIS would have took over Syria, Iraq, and other nations. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. See, the purpose of this channel also is to look at both sides of things with an open mind. We can't just come bull rushing in here and say, fuck Trump, fuck Pelosi. I don't like Pelosi. I don't like her. I think she gets hardcore shit-faced every time she goes to work. I mean, if you watch some of her stuff, she is drunk. Okay, she is drunk. I don't like her ass one bit. Doesn't mean she doesn't have valid points, but I don't like her ass one bit. You know? I know, right, Shell? Doesn't mean, though, that as grown adults, as we're in the live stream and we're communicating with each other, and it looks like the 25 of you in this room are probably going to be what I call my father subscribers, the ones that I can count on to be here when we're live and when we're doing videos and we're publishing things, and we're going to grow together and learn about each other in a family sense. The light? Oh, yeah. Hang on a second. I can try to do that. It's kind of one of those track lighting things. Let's see if that works. A little bit. A little better. Is that better for you? A? Alright, so anyway, it looks like you guys are probably going to be the people I'm going to, count on to come in here. And so everybody is going to understand real quickly that just a couple of basic ground rules, that we're going to respect each other's opinion. We're not going to call each other or put each other down for having that opinion. And we're going to be like, grown adults, right? I mean, it makes sense. The only way we're ever going to get anything solved in this world is to be open-minded about other people's opinions and say, okay, I can give you that. Just like I said with Marco, I can give you that. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to be in agreement with it, but it doesn't mean I'm going to say you're an idiot. Iran is probably going to get messed up. But then again, this could all be a bunch of blah, 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 blah. So we don't know. We're just going to have to keep on looking at the news. Okay, let's see if we can do this. This might help the glare. There we go. What about that? So that's all I ask. When you come in here and, there are people who I make moderators. And as I get to know all of you new people, hang on a minute. There's one more. Here we go. As I get to know all of you new people who I've not seen before, because I'm just basically getting this channel started, as you progress and show that you can be an adult, I will make you a moderator as well. There are some YouTubers out there that like to only make you a moderator if you pay them or you do this or do that. I'm not like that. But to be a moderator, you're going to have to earn it. You're going to have to show respect to other people. But, Marco brought up a lot of good points too. Soleimani was a bad man, but he did do some good things. Even bad people can do good things, right? But all I encourage you right now is to, it's the smoke detector. I need to get a battery. All I need to tell you now is keep an eye out for the news. Don't be so daggone arrogant that you think you might get not get destroyed, things like that. I don't know. I'm not saying that, we're going into World War III by any means. But I'm not saying it's not a possibility. The Aaron says Iran's going to become another Vietnam. Only issue is that cyber attacks and warfare will come into it. Meanwhile, they will maintain a stance of de-escalation and cooperation on the surface. It was nice meeting you as well, Dope Smoker. We never really had a use for this room, eh? We just I just kind of took it over as an office. We don't have a lot of money, so this is kind of where I sit. The living room is actually ahead of me. For a good majority of the time we lived here, there was nothing in this room. We don't eat at the dining room table anyway, and we don't really have a dining room table, so there you go. Okay. Well, anyway, that's pretty much all I have for this evening. But you guys stay woke, stay lit, meaning open, not shit-faced, and stay sane. Okay? Always check your sources when you're looking at your news. Just because it's on the internet, it's not necessarily true. Okay? Check the sources. Double check and see if there's other stories from other places like Reuters or Mirror, or RT, who are credible. All right? And that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for your support on the first live. You got to know me. I got to know you a little bit. Religion and money are the root of all evil. I agree. Right. Enjoy our lives, but remember not to be divided by our politicians. And thank you so much for other people who have come in from other nations to support the channel. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I would assume most of you are subscribers. And share the videos. The only way to get the word out, get people on a same unified platform, not necessarily opinion, but unified platform, is to share the knowledge. And knowledge is power. If you don't have knowledge, you don't have nothing. Disneyland. We virgins. All right, guys, take care. Have a good night.